Hello and welcome along. It's that time of year again. It's the Season 12 review from this Dorking Wanderers series with me, Daniel, and today we're reflecting on our first Premier League season. It's been a fairly successful one, both financially for the club and of course for us on the pitch, finishing 20 points clear of the relegation zone. How on earth we reached the top half, I do not know. But what a season it's been with some of these wonderful young players. They're improving off the pitch. We're going to talk about that today. We'll do our usual. For those of you that have been along every year, you'll know exactly how this works. We'll go through the squad. We'll talk about our plans for the summer, who we think will be going in and out, and then we'll see how much it matches the transfer special next time round. We'll also focus on the end of season awards. I've got to rethink how we're going to do the end of season player of the year vote because they're taking away cards in the eye above. So I might have to ask you down in the comments for your favourite, and I'll give you last year's result as well, of course. And then finally, we'll take a look at the progress for our new stadium, and we'll also talk about some off the pitch problems too. I don't know if they're glitches or they're just problems in game for us, or certain circumstances that are causing it. So I'll be interested to get your feedback. And we'll also talk about jobs, because although this is a one club series, we're getting some big interest across the board in England, and that's something I feel we need to talk about too. But before we start all of that today, a massive thank you to everyone who's followed the first Premier League season. The feedback on the end of year reviews has always been very good, so I hope you enjoy this one as well. If you're looking forward to it, please do put a thumbs up on the video. It does make such a big difference. Let me know in the comments who you think I'm going to be asking to sell on this summer, and we'll see how many of you are right in a few moments. If you haven't already, subscribe down below for regular content from this channel. Daily FM20 videos from 2 long-term stories. The head coach is back tomorrow. And it's a big one as well. Youth intake day, playing one of the top sides, and a few other little surprises too. Of course, on Sunday, my stadium review series also continues, and there's just a couple of days left to vote on the community page for the live stream save you'd like to see moving forward. It seems pretty much a landslide at the moment, but you can still have your say and turn that around, so do head over there and let me know what you'd like to see in what will be our regular Tuesday morning live stream save. Finally, I don't often do this, and I will do it in tomorrow's head coach video as well. I have mentioned a few times I'm part of a football podcast that does matchday vlogs, interviews and the likes. I try very hard not to plug it too much in these episodes because I know that some people don't have that interest and it's not overlapping. But this week I feel there was an important exception. We interviewed a man called David Robertson. He's a former professional footballer, represented his country Scotland, played for Aberdeen under Sir Alex Ferguson, played for Rangers in the 90s alongside the likes of Gascoigne and Laudrup, and then played for Leeds United in the top tier of the Premier League as well. But the reason he's been so notable in recent times is he's managing a side in the Indian Super League called Royal Kashmir FC. So there's a little bit of political tension behind that. It's a war zone officially. There's a few other interesting bits off the pitch as well. And the story of his management stint there is incredible. There's been a BBC Scotland documentary about it, and in fact there's the second one has just been released. And they're an incredible insight into football. He just gives us an hour of stories himself. We interviewed him for the podcast this week, and I'll put a link to the episode in the eye above, because I truly feel as a football fan, or even if you're just feeling a bit down today in the lockdown and due to the difficult times at the moment, that an hour of David Robertson's enough to cheer anyone up. So I'd recommend having a listen to that if you have got an hour spare, and hopefully it'll make you smile as much as it did me, and I can't thank him enough for going on our poxy little podcast. But let's move back to Dorking Wanderers today and focus on the end of season, and we'll start as we always do by going through the awards. We're back the following morning. We've got our record high finish of 10th place in the Premier League. We've got interest from Manchester City for jobs. We said we'd mention that. Both City and Chelsea chasing us already. Let's have a look at the end of season awards though. And this is probably the area that pleases me most. Of course, I'm going to ask you to let me know down in the comments now who's been your favourite player of the season, who do you think's been the star. There's a few good ones to choose from, but Ryan Lima pips it, and that's really important for me. Of course, after the first 2 games we were devastated. He missed a penalty in both, he played averagely, and to be honest he had a poor first month or two. But he has really come to life now, so I think he finished with 10 goals and 9 assists. He did. And what a fantastic player he is. I mean, he's become the wonder kid we'd hoped. There's interest in him, and I'm not surprised. What a fantastic player, and we just need him to reach that potential. Just behind is Carl Boyce, a slightly cheaper summer signing, but another very good one. Still a key player for England under 21s. And then Martin Prescott with goal of the season too. What a player he's become. 8 goals in his first season. We need a bit more next year, but I feel he will improve and get that for us. So really good news across the board there. The new signings make an impact. And a big shout out to Jack Walker, the man who's been the constant. He stayed in there as well. 28 Premier League starts, 2 goals, 2 assists and a rating above a 7. He deserves plenty of credit for that. In terms of the season review, bit of an up and down season, but finishing 10th, which no one expected before. A brilliant win against Southampton early on. That first win, it was so crucial. We got outplayed in that game, don't forget. And then a 5-0 defeat at Liverpool in that crucial, gruelling double-header over Christmas. 4-0 at home and 5-0 away. Liverpool, what a side they were. Did they win the league? They didn't. Oh, they finished second. United nicked it in the end. Liverpool blew their lead. But either way, what a side they are. The side of 2024 we don't need to look at too much. Let's have a look at the season expectations. So next year we've just got to fight bravely again. We've got more youth facility upgrades. We've got our new stadium, of course, coming. There's plenty of good news there. And pretty much the club culture's the same. They've met the style of football we're playing. They're just giving us the opportunity. So we have stamped our authority and now they work around us. It's the perfect place to be. Squad dynamics looking very good. But the team leaders is going to cause some issue, as we mentioned in a moment, as is the highly influential players, because we could be losing a few out of those groups. And a bit like last summer, it can lead to some early season wobbles. The end of season team meeting will tell the lads to fight bravely against relegation. The injury report, we got quite lucky this year. A lot of the youngsters out on loan have had big injuries, Shane Thompson most notably. But Kane Allen's there, I guess Kyle Brown, Michael Stropper, they've all had about a month out. But to be honest, there's been no big ones this year and we've got to be very grateful for that. But the lads are going on holiday, we've got to pick our training camp destination and let's find the least exotic one. It's got to be Scotland, isn't it? The lads off to Scotland for an exotic pre-season. That is going to be a cracker for them. But a wonderful performance against Newcastle in the last episode of the season and a wonderful way to lead into the summer, having finished in the top half. We haven't got any pre-agreed transfers, but there's a few key players we'd like to get in. And that's going to be our main focus over the next few weeks or so. But let's go and do what we normally do. Let me know in the comments who your star of the season is. But we'll go and look at what we plan to do this summer. So we've set the list of players we expect to leave the club, of those who are currently here. And we'll take a look at some of those out on loan as well. And there's a few maybes we've got to talk about too. So there's lots of things to get through. I'll include Mitchell Baker there as his loan's going to end. But let's talk about the 9 that we expect to probably leave the club. So as always, let me know how much you agree or disagree with this list, but I'll give you my reasoning for each one. So Grant Parsons is first, 4th choice centre half, wants a bit more football. At 26 now, he's stopped developing, he's not getting football. We've got 3 good centre halves in Brown, in Walker and in Mitchell Baker, who hopefully we can keep on. And we've also got one that could be signing on a free this summer who's just as good. So I feel like if we can get the 4 or 5 million that he's worth, it's a fantastic deal. Don't forget we splashed the cash on him in League One. £75,000, possibly our record signing at the time. And he led us to promotion that first year, was crucial in us staying up in the Championship and played a squad role last season as we got promoted to the Premier League. And even this year, he made 1 Premier League appearance and that will never be taken away for him. 1 for Crystal Palace and 1 for us with Dorking. And a good servant for the club he's been. Diallo, disappointment, probably the one dud we signed last summer. I'd expect him to go. If we can't get an offer, he'll stay in the reserve squad. Tordoff, it's a bit of a wrench this one. He has been a wonderful player, 129 league appearances and 30 goals, but the Premier League has been a step too far. He's worth 13 million quid, has been floating between sort of 10 and 15 all season. If we can get anything over 10 million for him, it's an incredible deal. What a player he's become. In a Championship, he was key. Don't forget that moment last season. He scored the goal that secured us the title. It's just, he's been such a key figure in this team. And he did the same again, pretty much the same pattern as Parsons. He was crucial in that League One winning campaign. Came on loan, don't forget, scored 17, 10 assists. Crucial to us winning the title that year. Then joined on a free as the highest paid player at the club on I think £7,000 a week at the time. Was crucial as we stayed in the Championship and was even more crucial in our title success last year. But the Premier League, he just hasn't cut it. He's played there for Sheffield United before and really struggled, and the same here. So we got him on a free and he's going to go for over 10 million. And he's also been a key player in the meantime. I mean, what more can you ask from him? What a fantastic player, and I will always remember him in this save. I'm sure the Dorking Wanderers fans will feel the same too. Moving on, we've got a few of last season's backup signings. Sean Wheatley, he can go if we get this value for him. The same for Daniel Allison, never really developed. And Bill Pilkington as well. If we don't get the other centre-half on a free from United or we can't keep Mitchell Baker, I might keep Pilkington just because he's basically the same as Parsons but not worth as much money. So we sell the one for big money, keep the other one. But I think it's most likely that both will go. Then we've got the three maybes. So Mitchell Baker, let's get him out the way first. It's very clear we don't want him to go, but we might not have a choice. As it stands at the moment, Chelsea are looking to use him in his first team squad, and we can't put in a bid for him. If that changes, which it did last year when he went back, then we'll have him back in a heartbeat. So we'll wait and see on that front. Next is Daniel Howarth, who I think will probably go. He's good enough to be our backup on the left wing, doesn't suit the tactic, isn't really my style of player, and wasn't brilliant this season despite a couple of crucial goals. But don't forget in all this, we signed him on a free, loaned him out for half a year, got him back for Dorking for the last second half of the season when Joe Thompson moved on, and we could now sell him on for, well, he's worth 10 million there, but even if we can get half of that, 5 million profit, that would be incredible. And the same really goes for Daniel Gilroy. He's not someone I'm actively looking to sell. He's perfectly adequate to be the backup to McLaughlin, but it's just because it says he's worth 10 million. And again, if we can get over half of that for his ability, I don't feel like we can reject it. He scored one crucial goal and popped up with a couple of assists too, but generally has struggled across the board. And we'll just wait and see, to be honest. He's a championship player, he's a good backup to have, and if he stays here, I'm not really going to be disappointed. So of course that's what we want to do. We've got to add into the mix that the likes of Nunes, Boyce and particularly Stropper are wanted. We know that Michael Stropper got interest in January, nearly left through a tantrum when we rejected an offer. And they're starting to talk about 20 to 25 million in the media. Can I reject that? I don't really know yet. We'll have to see what else is available. But for now, I'm more worried about him than the others. So at this point, before we go and take a look at the lads out on loan and those coming back, how they might contribute to the squad, let's quickly do the result of last year's end of season player of the year vote. And I'm going to have to go outside the club for this one because it's a player who is our record sale as it stands. And that man is Fraser Cotleo, who left in January. He popped up last year and after signing as a free agent, the backup striker we expected nothing from, overtook Brendan Lindsay's injury hit season and scored 21 goals in 40 championship games. 4 assists, he scored a few in the cups if I'm not wrong, 3 in the cup games, and became an absolute superstar. So it wouldn't have been my choice, but I completely understand the reasoning. The man who puts the ball in the net and gets you promoted is always going to be the hero. So Fraser Cotleo then put 11.5 million in the bank after scoring a couple of Premier League goals for us. And you can't ask much more for a free agent deal than that. He's getting on okay at Shakhtar, though he has picked up a couple of knocks himself, and we wish him all the best for the future. Thank you to everyone who voted. Of course, the poll cards are no longer available in the eye above, so please do let me know down in the comments who was the player of the season this year, and we'll reflect on that at the end of next season too. But let's go and have a look at the players in the development centre who are currently out on loan. And this is where we've got to look a bit more. So there's a load of players out. There are some obvious ones, we know what are going to happen with them. Mark Ball will come back, be third choice keeper. Had a decent stint at Barnsley, and he'll be back later at the end of the year. However, we've got to think about people like James King, who's had a decent season at Copenhagen, but was transfer listed before, and again, if we can get his value, it's a great deal. We've got the likes of Tyrese Holland, who are showing promise, but probably need a bit of work off the pitch. The same goes for Weir, who's a fantastic young midfielder, and I don't really know why he's only got 2-star rating. I feel like he could be so much more than that. But he's had a good season at MK Dons and has done really well at League One level. And on the other end of the spectrum, we've got the likes of Shane Thompson, ruined by injury. We sent him out to try and get him to that next level, and in fact he's ended up going the other way. The same for Joe Wilson, the same for Stuart Settle, who we had problems with his personality. And the likes of Shane Bennett have probably just stood still a bit. Stephen Lynch will be leaving the club, that's already been pre-agreed, he's off to the MLS. But there's not actually that much promise there, so it's probably more of a case of trying to make a profit on most and hoping that next season we'll be able to do the same with 5 or 6 more. So that's the review of the squad and our plans for the summer. Let me know if there's anything you disagree with there, any players who you think should have been on that unwanted list. If there's anyone there who you think should deserve to stay, please do let me know. I know Tordov's the obvious one, but he just hasn't cut it at this level. And with his value like that, I don't think we can afford to take another chance. So let me know if you disagree, but that's my initial plan, and we'll of course see how much of that happens in the summer. The transfer special will be back on Monday, so I hope you'll join me for that. But we've still got a bit of action in this episode yet. We'll skip ahead a month or so, play through all the competitions. We'll be back in a moment, fingers crossed, with stadium news and to review all of the English football pyramid. 9th of June, we are back as the transfer window opens, and there is big news at Dorking Wanderers, and I'm afraid it's not the news we wanted. If we go and have a look at the stadium development and the facility improvements, we still can't improve the training facilities. It's a massive problem. The option isn't even there. I'd love to know if you know what's causing this. I don't know why they won't go up. I don't know why we can't change it. We've got over 100 million in the bank. What is restricting us from improving the training facilities? The youth facilities still going up. We're allowed to do that all the time, so I'm not quite sure why that's the case. But either way, there is more bad news, and that is the fact that the stadium has been delayed. It's still being built, but it's been a little bit behind schedule in construction, and we now won't move in until October. So that means we've got 2 more months at QPR. The fixtures will be scheduled. We'll have games moved to Sundays, Mondays, whatever, to fit around the home team's fixtures. And that is not ideal for us. So hopefully that won't get delayed any further. And from October, we'll have a new one again. I'm trying to work out what's going on with that training ground. I just can't find a reason for it. Please tell me if you know. But everything else improving, the junior coaching, the youth recruitment, the youth facilities. And I think off the pitch, things are looking pretty good. I just need to know what's happening with those training facilities. So any ideas, do let me know. But we're obviously back for a main reason. We're going to go through the English pyramid and of course the big cup competitions too, and see what's been happening and how many shocks there are in the footballing world. So firstly, United champions. The first time since 2013 and Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement year. A massive moment for United, 18 years in waiting. Bournemouth, Sheffield United and Southampton down at the other end. Sheffield United, an established side, that's a bit of a shock. They've been up there for 4 years now. The same for Bournemouth, they've never been relegated in this career, so they've been there 15, 16 years, and now they're relegated to the Championship. Speaking of the Championship, Brighton won the playoffs, West Ham and Middlesbrough came up with them, Sheffield Wednesday, Wigan and Preston down. No massive shocks in my book. On to League One. Chesterfield have been promoted via the playoffs. They started in the National League. Of course, they featured very heavily in our FM20 network career in recent weeks. And they are going up to the Championship now. Ipswich and Cardiff joining them as the top 2. No huge shocks going down. Sort of clubs you'd expect in League 1 or League 2. And let's move on to League 2 to see who's there. Yeovil promoted. Bolton, Walsall and Notts County as well. Woking and Fleetwood down. So a League 1 side down to the National League. Of course, Fleetwood, a smaller side off the pitch. They're building their infrastructure in real life. But they've gone back down the leagues here. Let's move on to non-league football. Swindon promoted at long last. Bromley champions. Dagenham going down. Eastleigh, Harrogate and Barrow. I've still not seen any massive shocks yet. Only teams that are sort of 1 or 2 leagues out. But let's go to the National League North. Hereford and Nuneaton up. Macclesfield relegated again. Oh, what's happened to Grimsby? Grimsby have been relegated from the National League North on 2 points. They've been deducted 10, but they only achieved 12 points all season on the pitch. Why has that happened? Oh, they've got a whole team of youth players. They've completely crumbled financially. That is a challenge I would absolutely love to do. Of course, they're out of the playable leagues now. But what a shame that is. Look at that fall from grace. It's just been gradual. In the playoffs in 24 in League 2, 2 years later relegated, 4 years later relegated, and the financial trouble takes them down again. Grimsby and Macclesfield both out the playable leagues. Grimsby for the first time in this series. Macclesfield have been yo-yoing at this level for a little while. What a surprise that is. We had to wait a while, but we have got some surprises in the end. National League South, Aldershot promoted. Again, a side that featured quite prominently in that FM20 network career. Basingstoke won it, a side that I had a brilliant series with off camera, maybe 2014? I think I had a brilliant spell with them. The One Club Challenge went through the leagues. All of those ones you remember. Welling probably the most notable side going down, but not as many big shocks in the south. Still a few sides down there. Torquay, obviously the FM19 side. But there is nothing that's got a hit on what's happening in the National League North. What a surprise that is. Let's go to the FA Cup. That was won by Chelsea, who beat relegated Sheffield United in the final. The Carabao Cup was won by United, who beat FA Cup winners Chelsea. Fraser Cotleo, joint second top scorer in that one. The Community Shield, United beating Liverpool. What a comeback it's been from United. MK Dons lose to Bolton in the Leasing.com trophy. So Bolton win League 2 and win the Leasing.com. That's a great double for them. Fylde win the FA trophy. They were second in the National League but didn't get promoted. And then of course we've got to look at Europe as well. So let's have a look at the Champions League. Was that Manchester United that won it as well? We talked about them losing a lot of finals last year. What a comeback it's been. United winning 4-0 against PSG to end Liverpool's dominance in Europe. The Europa League, won by Juventus, or Zebra as they are in game. They beat Lyon in the final. No English sides reaching that. And then the Europa League 2, is it another Scottish team? It's not, it's Everton. The second time they've won it in this series. European glory, beating Russians Krasnodar in the final. English football winning 2 of the 3 again, but no sign of the Scottish teams. Did they reach the semis? No. Villarreal and Hoffenheim? Quarters? No. Bit of a dodgy year for Scottish football, was it? Not even Inverness Caledonian Thistle in the last 16. But aside from that, no real noteworthy moments for Scottish football. Let's move on finally to one we haven't looked at for a while, which is internationals. Obviously last year it was a World Cup year in game, so I couldn't show you. It was going on as we went through it. Holland won it in 2030, Italy 2026, France 2022. So Holland getting their first major trophy in a while there, unless they won the European Championships. Keep making mistakes on the typing today. Spain are the holders. That was 2028. Oh, that's easy. They've won all of them. 3 Euros since the game started, and Spain have won all 3 of them. Can't turn that into World Cup victories though. That's a little bit strange. Finally, we'll go to the Nations League. Not sure what it's called in here, so I might be a little while trying to find this one. What's it called? Is it the International League maybe? I think it's maybe the European International League. I should know. I managed Ireland in the head coach in this tournament. So it has been won by Germany 2021, Holland 23, Spain, France, Italy and Portugal. All the usual suspects, though Portugal winning it this year. They've made a bit of a comeback up the leagues. And they've got a load of stars from United, Barcelona and Real Madrid. So there's no real surprises there, are there? I just saw top scorer in that last one, Armando Broja. Anyone remember him from Torquay FM19? Look how good he is here. 72 grand a week, £5 million. He's a superstar. Always loved Armando Broja. What a player he was. But that is it for our end of season review from Dorking Wanderers and season 12. Let me know what you think of the English pyramid, particularly the Grimsby and Macclesfield situation. Did I miss anything else there that was notable in the leagues? What do you think of our first Premier League season and our plans for the summer? And make sure you vote for your player of the season down below. Just let me know in the comments who and why. Who's going to be the stars next year? Which positions are we going to sign big players? All of that is to come on Monday in our pre-season transfer special from season 13. We're desperate to avoid second season syndrome as a Premier League side. We've got to work very hard to do that next season. In the meantime, if you want to make sure you don't miss any of the action, please subscribe down below and turn those notifications on. We're back tomorrow with a big one from the head coach, including Youth Intake Day. And obviously we'll be starting our live stream series in the next couple of weeks. As well as the return of Snooker 19 on Monday, we've got Cricket 19 coming next week, and we've got our Stadium Review series continuing on Sunday. So please do put a thumbs up on this video, and make sure you stick around for all the content. I really am enjoying making it, and I hope that comes across in the videos. But thank you again for your incredible support, both over here on Load FM and with the podcast as well. I've seen a few of you pop over there too. And as I said, that David Robertson interview, probably my favourite moment so far. And I really hope you enjoy it if you get the chance to watch. Thank you so much again for watching this one. And hopefully I'll see you next time on Monday for a massive transfer special from this series.